Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as we discuss all the latest Manchester United news and a very big message from Erik ten Hag to his detractors and those who would potentially try to undermine what Manchester United are trying to achieve. I know it's weird actually because I haven't actually been live with you since the result yesterday against Arsenal, but I think it was more than a win against Arsenal. I think it was a massive vindication and a massive message from Erik ten Hag about what his plans are at Manchester United. And there was a really big line that I saw after I'd done my match reaction last night that really resonated. And it was the fans may get carried away because that's what football fans can do. But there's a lot of work to be still done here. I have high standards and there's a lot of improvement still to come. And this was one of the big reasons that I wanted Erik ten Hag at Manchester United. And I think it's a big reason why everybody else did. Because if you did your homework on him, one of the big things I like about him, and one of the reasons maybe, you know, the press conferences are not the same as they were under Solskjaer or Rangnick or Mourinho, is that he's just an obsessive. He's an obsessive with very, very strong standards and high standards. And I think that this is why it's so important as fans that we protect him, because I think if anybody can turn things around at Manchester United and make us successful, you've got to have a coach like that, like a Pep Guardiola, like a Jurgen Klopp. And I'm not saying Ten Hag's on that level, but there are similarities and there's a lot to get into. A few people talk about Manchester United being sold for 3.75 billion. Not too sure about that. Not too sure whether that's going to happen or not, but we can certainly wait and see. 1 minute here. I've just made a really stupid error before going live. So 1 minute. Foolish of me. Very, very foolish of me. I will be back. You should never ever start a stream like this. Basically, I've described myself as a fucking idiot. Never go live off your Wi-Fi. Always use an Ethernet. You absolute idiot. Sorry about that. That's my fault for being a little bit late there, but I wasn't actually ready either. So I am back now. Sorry about that. First of all, though, before we get into this whole Ten Hag discussion, which I'm really looking forward to doing, I just want to say that today's show is sponsored by Shopify. We're sponsored by Shopify. Now, we have a Shopify shop. We have a Shopify shop. The United Stand on Shopify. The links are in the description. This is where we sell stuff like this, United Stand merch, etc. But you might have noticed that today's show is sponsored by Shopify as well. Well, Shopify has been amazing for the United Stand communities. It allows us to provide what we think are amazing products for you to purchase in a super simple, reliable way. If you want to start your own online store, then Shopify is an easy-to-use, all-in-one commerce platform that allows anyone, even without technical skills, to create, grow and manage a business. Shopify allows you to sell online, in person and in all major social platforms. So if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, Shopify is super simple to use. I mean, I've no experience on selling anything online, so if I can do it, I'm sure any of you can. We run every part of the United Stand merchandise store through the Shopify platform, and honestly, it takes all the hassle away from selling online, so we can make sure we focus on bringing the best content to our amazing community and audience. So if you want to learn more about setting up your own Shopify, then hit the link in the description or scan the QR code to start your 14-day free trial today. Thanks again to Shopify for their support, and yeah, it's been fantastic for us, and this is where you can get stuff like this, like I say, and yeah, we do it all through Shopify. So scan the QR code or go through the link in the description. If you're thinking about setting up your own merchandise or t-shirt designs or whatever, check it out. Really, really good. Really, really simple to set up and get your 14-day trial. So big shout out to Shopify for that. Hopefully we are up and running and we didn't lose you when I had to go and plug my Ethernet cable in because I'm an idiot. But big shout out to Shopify there. So yes, lots I want to talk about tonight. I really do feel that I'm loving this. I love the Friday night show and I'm loving this. I love the fact that the transfer window is closed. It's been a very busy day today. We had, obviously, Fabrizio Romano on the show, very interesting insights about De Jong. Ben Foster was on as well, talking about, you know, Casemiro and everything like that. And obviously Adam did the morning show. But this is the first time I've been able to go live and chat with you about the just where we are as a football club, because I think yesterday was so fantastic, wasn't it, to be engrossed in that whole day and the results and 4 wins in a row and positivity and waking up this morning and United fans are just very happy. It's great, and it should not be underestimated. 4 wins in a row. 2 of them against Arsenal and Liverpool, 2 away wins, only 2 goals conceded in 4 games. The turnaround for this season's been fantastic from that terrible start to the season against Brentford, where at that point after Brentford you're thinking we're not going to get top 4. This is going to really, really be a hard season. And now we're 3 points off the top. We're firmly in that top 4 space that we want to be. We're not in it yet, but we're very close to it. And, there's reason to be positive. But what I love about Erik ten Hag is the fact that he's basically put the marker down and said that, look, there's a lot of work to be done. And I think there is so much work to be done. And this is why this man is so important to this fan base, that we stick with him and the plans that he has. Because if you know what he's all about, he's basically, I think yesterday, he basically shut down a lot of criticism, and he shut down a lot of the media that wanted Poch. And I'm not saying that they're not backing Erik ten Hag, but there's a lot of people out there, and their names and the outlets, they're not the same as us. And that's not a criticism. It takes different opinions, but the people who wanted Ten Hag were the fans. You go back to February, March, April, whoever your respected ex-player is in the media, whoever your respected journalist is in the media, none of them came out saying Ten Hag's the man. And they didn't. They just didn't. There was no ex-player who said it, as far as I'm aware, and there was no journalist who's close to United or not close to United who said it. But you, the majority of you, wanted this manager. Now, you can sit there and say, I told you so. It's quite a satisfying thing, but it's not about that. It was about, for me, the gaps that were in the Ten Hag appointment that people were trying to sort of exploit. We heard, it's another Eredivisie signing. We heard, he's come into the Premier League and he's tried it on and he's been schooled by Potter and Brentford. And I think yesterday showed that this man is exactly what Man United fans wanted and why we wanted him. Because if anybody got schooled, it was Arteta yesterday. Now, I said after the game that for me, it was just very, very clear what changed the game. And it was the substitution to bring Cristiano Ronaldo on for Antony. Not because Ronaldo won us the game, but because it absolutely, it was an ambush, basically. It was an ambush to say to Arteta, come at us, push your line up, and I'm going to kill you. I'm going to get in behind your line and we're going to kill you. And that's what we did. And Ten Hag saw that. Now, considering that Erik ten Hag wants to play a style of football like he did at Ajax, like he did in pre-season, where we dominate the ball and we are high up the pitch. What he's done over the last few games, starting with Liverpool, is he sort of parked that ethos and built the team from the back and used the strength of the team to build their possession but not hold on to the ball for too long and look to exploit the opposition. Very different to how Ollie did it. And obviously we exploited Arsenal fantastically yesterday. And I've looked at a lot of Arsenal fans and they've said, we were the better team, but you didn't win the game. We scored 3 very clean goals. And what I mean by clean goals is they were smooth. They were well created and they were well finished. Arsenal really didn't do that. They didn't create anything clean. They had a couple of chances, but they weren't clean chances. Even their goal was a tackle from Dalot that fell to Saka. Man United were clinical and clean in the way that they finished that game off. And Arsenal maybe were better on the ball at times, but we won the game and we deserved to win the game. I may have missed it, but are we doing a breakdown of the transfer window with net spend, etc.? Says Rory. You've missed it. Phil Jones has been kicked out of Man United, says Charlie. And Mark, can you call Chase a bloody prat, says Skeng. But I think what really matters is that if you look at it in a very logical way, what also happened yesterday is that Erik ten Hag took on the team that was top of the league. He took on the team that's playing very well. He took on a team that's got loads of confidence. And he went at that team and he beat them, and he comfortably beat them. And he did it in front of everybody. Like it was probably the most watched game of the Premier League so far. Everybody's watching that, whether it's Liverpool fans, Man City fans, because it's Arsenal top of the league against Manchester United at Old Trafford. And everybody saw the dismantling of that Arsenal side. And Ten Hag did that. And he masterminded that from moment one with his team selection to the substitutions to the 3-1 comprehensive win. And I think yesterday was more than 3 points because it sent that warning to everybody that beware of Erik ten Hag. He's not here to mess about. He is not here to learn and be gracious. He is here to do what he wants to do, which is build Manchester United in his vision over a process, and it will take time, but he's not here to mess about, and he's not here to come cap in hand to the media, and he's not here to respect other managers, and he's not here to respect what fans think about who should be in the team or not. He's here to do a job, and he's here to do it his way, in a stubborn, obsessive, high standard way. And I think the message yesterday was loud and clear that if people are going to take a pop at Erik ten Hag, he is going to deliver a very, very harsh response, that this is a process, that there will be issues along the way, that standards need to be very high, but ultimately he's already proven the doubters wrong. I think after Brentford and Brighton, there was people going, oh, he's an Eredivisie manager who can't travel. But I think to win 4 Premier League games in a row, you cannot be somebody that goes, well, what Arsenal have done to win 5 Premier League games in a row from the start is fantastic, and it is. It's not easy to do it. I don't know what anyone else thinks. I think this Premier League is ridiculously competitive at the moment, and it's not easy to go and win 4 or 5 games in a row. Arsenal did it. We've just done 4 in a row. 2 of those were away. Our home games were Arsenal and Liverpool. It's a fantastic achievement, and it's a fantastic run. And for me, it shows that this manager can go and do things that not a lot of people can do. Go and win 4 games in a row in the Premier League. It's not easy. To go and do that in your first 6 games, it just shows that it's going to take time, but he has a vision, he has an idea, and he's going to do it. And I think there'll be a few people that had those knives sort of sharpened, maybe media, maybe ex-players, I don't know, who basically have had to sit down. We've seen it with Martinez. They were hunting for Martinez to say that was the one they were pinning on. I really do think. Mark, have you heard about the Glazers setup and asking price of 3.75 billion for a full United sale? Druv, I think I'd already said we'll come back and talk about that. Can we just please just try and focus on what we're talking about here? Because you know what? I know we all want the Glazers out, but that story, what does it mean? What does it mean? Like, are we going to suddenly get excited that the club's going to get sold tomorrow? It's just a story in a paper about somebody from Saudi Arabia or Dubai buying us. You know what? I actually don't think it's a very nice story at all. You know, I think some people just want the club to be sold. I don't want the club to be sold to Dubai or Saudi Arabia. I like the idea of the Sir Jim Radcliffe thing because it's somebody who supports the club. Originally from Manchester, which you know is a nice story, of course, but they support the club. I don't necessarily want what Man City and Newcastle have got. Nothing against it, but I don't think many United fans want that either. So you know, I think that look, what's very, very clear is that yesterday there wasn't many banners in Old Trafford because they were getting taken down again. A lot of people were saying to me yesterday that Sky were dubbing out the sound again. I don't know because I didn't listen to the sound because I don't listen to it. But, you know, I think we've got to be very, very careful about, you know, anything is better than the Glazers because it's not. This football club has to be... What these protests are about is, and what the Glazer Out movement is about not making this mistake again and not being put in the hands of people that really probably shouldn't be have control of this football club. And look, the Glazers can sell to whoever they want if they sell, but there's a long journey to be had here. And I think for all the effort that's going into it, you want it to be the right conclusion. You don't want it to be the wrong conclusion. So hopefully that will be the case. Anyway, let's get back to what I was talking about there. I've sort of lost my place now. What was I talking about? I was talking about... you see, this is the trouble. Someone pops something in my head and I'm completely lost as to what I was talking about. Thanks, Druv. I can't remember what I was saying. I can't remember what I was talking about. I know I was talking about Erik ten Hag, and I was going to make a point about something that was really important, and I've completely lost my fucking place now. Bloody hell, that's so annoying. I hate it when that happens. Yeah, so with Erik ten Hag, it's just really it's really important. I feel that we back him and that we give him everything we can, because I think that the Martinez thing, that's what I was going to say. Thank you, Cobra. Martinez was very, very clearly going to be the person that was the one. I don't know whether you sensed it or not, whether it was on the radio, whether it was in the press. Certain, the media were talking about it as well. Thoughts on Anthony? Also, bet you are, Lorik. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I think we're having problems with the internet here because I don't know. Actually, I don't think it is dropping out. It might just be an issue on my side. I don't think it is dropping out. Apologies if we're getting a bit of lag because I can certainly see something might be going on, but actually it's stabilised now. They don't want me to talk about Martinez, do they? That's the second time. So Martinez was the one that I felt that they were going for Ten Hag on. After that Brentford game, there seemed to be this sort of fascination with Martinez, even though Maguire had been poor last season and had been poor in seasons before, in the games at the start of the season. Martinez seemed to be the thing, and I always felt that with Ten Hag there was a bubbling underneath that they didn't want him, the media didn't want him, and you know how powerful the media are, and it felt to me like with Martinez that was their issue, that was their target man, that was the person that was going to undermine Ten Hag. What are you doing bringing a 5'10" centre back who's a bit too temperamental into the Premier League? He's not going to work, he's going to get exploited. And ultimately I think that's what they were looking at doing, and we certainly saw that after Brentford. But we've just gone and won 4 games in a row. We've conceded only 2 goals in 4 Premier League games. Obviously, we've taken 12 points because we've won 4 games in a row. And Martinez has been fundamental to that with Rafael Varane. And again, I think that it's just an example of what a manager can be if you let them manage. And what Ten Hag has basically done is, I suppose in a blunt way, he sat those critics down. Now, I don't think his intention was to do that. I think his intention was to build a Manchester United side in his vision that he thinks can be successful. But obviously, from or Eric Bay, to be honest, I can't remember an example of a manager coming in and being systematically targeted like Martinez was targeted over his signing there. And for what? Basically, for what? There is absolutely no way that these pundits would know that Martinez is a bad player because they won't have spent any time watching the Eredivisie. And if they'd spent any time watching him in the Champions League last year, they'll know that he was a good player. And I certainly don't think they've been watching him playing for Argentina either. So basically, it was just lazy, downright lazy assumption that you can't be 5'10" and play in the Premier League. And that seemed to be the whole ethos of this targeting. And then at a higher level, I think it was just trying to undermine Erik Ten Hag. When I listened to people criticising Martinez a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, you are criticising Martinez, but what you're trying to say is that Erik Ten Hag should not have brought in an Eredivisie centre-back to the Premier League who's 5 foot. Again, going back to yesterday against Arsenal, Martinez played, as did Varane, and they played very, very well again. And I think there's been a process of Erik Ten Hag making those outlets and critics eat their own words. And they'll still be very desperate for Erik Ten Hag and Manchester United to slip. But it's like that goal for Anthony in the first few minutes yesterday. They'll have been waiting for. They'll have been loving a scenario, the critics, where €100 million signing from the Eredivisie can't score goals for Manchester United and is a flop like Pepe was at Arsenal. But he scores on his debut, and instantly that doesn't justify his price tag. But instantly they can't write that headline in a few weeks that he's been a flop. They're going to have to dig a little bit deeper with that. And the same with Martinez. They can't write that headline that Martinez is a flop because he's gone and won 4 Premier League games in a row. And they can't write that Ten Hag can't transfer his ability from the Eredivisie to the Premier League because he's won 4 Premier League games in a row. It doesn't mean Anthony, Martinez and Erik Ten Hag are going to be successful. But it is a big statement that they can be successful, led by Erik Ten Hag. So I think it is a warning to his critics. And what I loved, as I said before, what I loved about Erik Ten Hag yesterday was when he came out after the game and said that, look, the standards are very high with me and there's a lot of work to do still. The atmosphere after the game yesterday was unreal. Fans and players as one. That's all down to the manager. There's going to be ups and downs, but I feel the fans are prepared for it, says Sean Turner. Thoughts on Nathan Patterson as a competent... I'm not... Mohammed, I'm sure you've asked me twice about Nathan fucking Patterson. Somebody asked me about Nathan Patterson yesterday. Nathan Patterson's only just starting playing for Everton. Why are we signing him for Manchester United? Are you setting up the Nathan Patterson fan club? I don't want to talk about Nathan bloody Patterson. He played one game, I saw him play well against Liverpool. And suddenly there's somebody in the chat going on about Nathan bloody Patterson. Martinez was on fire every game, which shut down the critics and has in turn led to Ten Hag winning 4 games with results like 1-0, says Kartik. Thank you very much. Maguire immediately looked like a liability, says Paps. Well, I don't want to talk about that. What I do want to talk about is, and I think it's really important, is a few people spoke about this as well. What did Erik Ten Hag mean after the game when he said that, we're not going to run away with ourselves, the standards are very high at Manchester United, and we need to improve? And I've spoken to a lot of people today on a lot of different things about Manchester United's performance against Arsenal, and what and I think many of you would agree with, is that we're absolutely not playing Erik Ten Hag football. The results are fantastic, and for me, this is the real big positive. Is the results have been fantastic over the last 4 games, and the defence has been fantastic, and the rhythm of the team, and the communication of the team, and the concentration of the team has been really, really good. But there is also a bit of an issue in relation to how we are playing, because if you know anything about the way that Erik Ten Hag plays football, this is not the way he plays football. We were doing the watch-alongs in pre-season, weren't we? And look, it is not easy to have 65-70% possession. Liverpool do it quite well. Man City do it fantastically well. Arsenal are trying to do it more. Spurs not really much. Chelsea not really much. It's not really what they're about at the moment, but it's definitely what Erik Ten Hag wants to do. Erik Ten Hag's style of football is to control the game, and to control the game in the opposition's half. That is what he wants to do. Well, we're not doing that, and I think it's a huge credit to Erik Ten Hag, because it shows strings to his bow. And I'm reminded of a comment by Erik Ten Hag. I think it was in 2020. And he was talking about Pep Guardiola. He wasn't the Man United manager. And I'm reminded of a quote from him where he said, Pep Guardiola misread the Premier League when he came over in the year 1, and he learnt in year 2. And I'm just looking at what Erik Ten Hag's doing, and I'm thinking, you know what? All right, the first 2 games, it went badly wrong, and he maybe misread the Premier League. But boy, has he turned it around very, very quickly, because we had 65% possession against Brentford, and we lost 4-0. Now, I can't remember what we had at half-time, because you could say, well, second half, Brentford just gave us the ball. They knew the game was won. Quite right. That probably did happen. But I would argue that we probably had quite a lot of possession in the first half, even when we lost 4-0. Over the last 4 games, we've not had high possession at all. And I think that's a conscious decision by this manager to go, look, I do want to dominate games. I do want to be in the opposition's half. I do want to play a high line, and I do want to have 70% possession. But we are not ready to do that at the moment when we've just lost our first 2 games of the season. We need to get points back on the board. And we can play with the ball like we did that 2 minutes before we scored the first goal. It was fantastic. But in the first instance, we need to get results on the board. And I think what Erik Ten Hag has done is he's just gone, you know what? We're not abandoning how I want to play football, but over the next few weeks, we need to get those results. We need to play a different way. We need to be compact and defend really, really well. And then when we've got the ball, we've got to be clever with that ball and use it and be clinical with it. And effectively, the Arsenal performance yesterday was exactly that. Arsenal had a lot of possession compared to us, but we were way, way more careful and clinical when we did get the ball. So I think the exciting thing is, and I think when Erik Ten Hag does speak about the standards are not where they want to be yet, and he's got high standards, I think that is very exciting, because what he wants to do is build Manchester United up to that next level, build us from here. And what a platform to be building from. 4 games, 4 wins, 12 points, only 2 goals conceded. And next stage is going to be, let's have more of the ball. Let's have more of the ball. Let's push that line higher. Let's have more of the ball. Let's have more of the ball. Let's have more of the ball. And you look at the players that he's potentially got to get, and remember, look, he's got good players to bring into the team as well. That starting 11 did fantastically well yesterday. But you've got people like Casemiro who can come into the team, Cristiano Ronaldo, Anthony Martial. You've still got people like Fred and Donny who can be part of the team as well. So I think that the future is very hard to predict at Manchester United. I was on a show today with Ben Foster and a Spurs fan, and then they were saying that, you just never know what you're going to get with United. And they're probably right. Crystal Palace next is a difficult game, but I just love the way that Erik ten Hag has turned this ship around after the Brentford and Brighton results, how he's solidified that back defence and built from the back, how the team is ridiculously clinical. The goals were scoring as well. If you think about the 3 goals yesterday, they're basically tap-ins. Anthony's is a tap-in, Rashford's second goal is a tap-in, and the third one, or his first goal, the second goal, he's one-on-one, and he takes it very, very well. Leicester goal, Sancho round the keeper, goal. Southampton goal was well taken by Bruno. The goals against Liverpool, again, Sancho basically took his time, passes it in, Rashford. So we're scoring these goals that are just very... It's not a fluke when you're scoring 5 or 6 goals like that, where they're basically just very straightforward goals. And that's just concentration throughout the team. From defence to attack, we're very clinical. We're clinical in our defending, and we're being very clinical in our finishing as well. And I think the progression and gears and standards that Erik ten Hag talks about, we already know what they are. They're a development of the way that we're playing football. They're a development to boss the possession, and I think it's going to be really exciting. To be getting results whilst trying to build this team into Erik ten Hag's way of playing football is impressive in itself, and also the Butcher and the Baker centre-back, says Navu. Mark, we usually have a high possession for 20-25 minutes, maybe slowly trying to integrate them into that team instead of forcing it on the team, says Aswini. I feel like Harry's going to have the same path and Phil Jones now, once a decent defender now is on the downfall, says Dennis. Do you think Erik ten Hag is at a stage of confidence with his team where he can play a very rotated team on Thursday or go for the win and be pragmatic, says Mohammed? I think you've got to rotate. I mean, we're going to do the preview tomorrow, but I think you've got to rotate in the Europa League. I mean, get your questions in. That's what it's all about, isn't it? I think you've got to rotate. We're playing Crystal Palace on Sunday. Very difficult game. You can't play the first team on Thursday, Sunday. And we've got so many players that need some game time. Ronaldo needs to start. Casemiro needs to start. Maguire, Luke Shaw, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Donny, Fred. These players all need to start. So some of them have got to play on Thursday, definitely. Anthony's celebration was all for me. The kissing, the crest and chest pumping. Clearly wants to be here and succeed. Unlike a certain snake we beat in Paris. Ten Hag will succeed, says Nana. And do you think Dubravka will get his debut tomorrow? Well, it's on Thursday, Drac. And I think he's got a chance. I don't know whether he will do, but I think he's got a chance of making his debut on Thursday. But look, I think what Erik ten Hag did yesterday and what he's done over the last 4 games is superb, and he deserves the praise for it. But there will be downs, and that's basically what he's warning us about. There will be downs. No United fan is saying that we're in a title race, which is absolutely fantastic because we're not. No Manchester United fan is talking about the top 4 race really yet, because we're not in that. But I think Eric knows, as well as many of you do, that there is a bad result coming round the corner, because in a rebuild and a process, that will happen. If you think about United over the last 4 wins, we've not gone behind once. That's a test that's not happened yet. The Arsenal goal yesterday, which was quite rightly disallowed, if that goes in and Arsenal get hold of the ball and start hitting us on the break because we've got to attack, how do we adapt to that? So I think Eric is a very clever guy, and I think he's, I don't think he's saying we're going to lose, but I think he's saying that there's a long way to go, and we're going to keep working hard and keep improving, because there is. The fact is that Liverpool and Arsenal have come to Old Trafford and had more of the ball. We've heard Arsenal fans, we've heard Liverpool fans saying after both losses we were the better team. But well, I don't buy into that. You lost. But what I do buy into is that we are still the underdogs in those games to a certain extent. And Erik ten Hag wants to make us the favourites in those games, and that's what we're going to build towards. And the Premier League is so ridiculously competitive this year as well. I think that our next 3 Premier League games are Palace away, Leeds at home, and then Man City away. And I look forward to those games. I embrace those games. Can't wait for those games. But they will be challenging in their own way. Leeds at home, I would fancy us to win that, but they're a better team, and you never know. Palace away is very, very difficult. And Man City away is going to be very, very difficult as well. So, you know what? If we've got 7 wins in a row, then suddenly everything is looking very, very rosy. But I think most of us would go, we've just got to take this game by game at the moment and see where we come out of it. Because, you know, the Leicester and Southampton results were very good, but Leicester and Southampton came out of those games. It's funny, actually. We've won 4 games in a row, and every team that we've beaten has come out of the game afterwards pretty happy with their performance and a little bit disappointed that they didn't get something out of it. Certainly Brendan Rodgers said it, Ralph Hasenhüttl said it, Klopp said it, and Arteta said it as well. Erik ten Hag has to get what he wants in January. That transfer window will be bigger than the summer due to the World Cup showcasing all the talent. Thoughts as Universal. I don't think Man United will be active in January. I don't think many teams will be active in January. I mean, we've never had a January transfer window where it follows a World Cup. So there's plenty of time to do some business if you want to do it. But I don't know that United have any unfinished business. There may well be some business in the sense that players who aren't getting any game time might ask for a loan or a move. And, you know, maybe we know he wants a right back, maybe Wan-Bissaka goes, etc. But I don't think at the moment it's part of the plan. Is Bruno more suitable for a counter-attacking side rather than a possession-based side, says Pranav? I think that's a great question. Nana, to get more possession, I would play Casemiro and McTominay as CDM, Eriksen as Cam, Ronaldo, Sancho and Anthony on top, says Waxy. And turning point for me was when Erik ten Hag ran the extra miles with the team after Brentford, says Dan. It's a great symbolic turning point, and you're probably not too wrong about that. It's interesting. There was a chat there that basically didn't have Bruno in the team, and then there was a chat there about, is Bruno only suitable in a counter-attacking team? I think the pass that wins the game is the pass to Rashford, the second goal. That really kills Arsenal's momentum, and that was a Bruno Fernandes pass. And I thought Eriksen was man of the match yesterday. I can't believe anybody wouldn't say Eriksen was man of the match. You need to understand football to know it, and I think most people do understand football now. They consume so much of it, and Eriksen was superb yesterday. Eriksen was the conductor for every goal. He got the ball to Bruno and broke the midfield line for the first one, and he got the ball quickly to Bruno to allow him to play that world-class pass. Eriksen's fundamental to Erik ten Hag. I've heard people saying that Eriksen is Ten Hag's Frankie de Jong. I disagree. He wanted Eriksen and de Jong, and Eriksen was always going to be a big part of his plans. And I think Eriksen would, if we'd got de Jong, I think Eriksen would have played in the same midfield with him. I really do think he was going to play de Jong, Eriksen and Bruno. I do. And how that would have worked, I don't know. Would we have been a bit physically weak for that? I don't know. But Eriksen has become the conductor that I think Frankie de Jong would have been as well. And I don't think... I just never felt that Eriksen was going to come into the club and be used as a Juan Mata, you know, a bit part player who we didn't see enough of. It was very clear that when he chose Manchester United over Brentford, he did that because he was persuaded to do that, because Erik ten Hag said, you're going to be a massive part of my team. And he is. He's a first team player and he's a massive part of the team. But so is Bruno Fernandes. And whatever you think about Bruno Fernandes, and I've been a bit, Bruno's been one of my favourite players. Since we bought him, I love Bruno Fernandes. But since we gave him that new contract at the end of last season, I thought his form was shocking. And I thought he started the season shocking as well. But he's been the captain for the last 4 games. And it's a bit like what we were talking about Martinez. It seems to me that some players are afforded patience and time in this Man United squad by the media and ex-players and certain sections of the fan base, whereas other players are afforded no patience at all. And Bruno Fernandes has taken that captaincy role, and I think over the 4 games, he's probably been average in a couple, but in 2 of them he's been good. And as captain of Man United, he's won 4 games in a row. Do we just dismiss that? We've seen what a captain of Manchester United can, how a bad captain of the team can damage the team. We saw that Maguire just was not suitable. He was not respected, and he didn't do a good job. And, many of us felt sorry for him as a captain at times because, he didn't want to give it up. But it was very obvious that the team didn't respond to him in a very positive way at all. We'd go 1-0 down and it'd go 2 or 3-0 down very, very quickly. But this team is working really, really hard and well together. Now, we don't see the dressing room, but Bruno Fernandes doesn't strike me as the sort of captain who just sits back down and says nothing. So I think there's an unwritten, and look, it won't get written by the press. I've not seen anybody saying this, but I believe that you as a community will embrace this and listen to it. What price is Bruno Fernandes as captain benefiting Manchester United here? Because the players have never been so unified. They've no, you've got bloody people giving high fives for making a tackle and winning a corner. It's a very different Man United side. It's a very unified Manchester United side, and I think it's reflective in the squad as well. Fred came on yesterday, very, very good. Ronaldo came on yesterday, very, very good attitude as well. It's bleeding through the team. And look, to be fair, I will say a lot of what was heard last year was like a sieve. There's not a lot coming out at the moment from United. There's not a lot, especially in the last 2 or 3 weeks. A winning team creates a happy team. A losing team creates an unhappy team. The leaks happened with an unhappy team. They're not happening as much now. But what we do know is that squad is working really, really hard. And that those players are getting on really, really well. Now, as we know, there are still players in that room, that dressing room, that you wouldn't trust if things go badly. And we will lose games, and we'll have to see if it can be maintained. But this want or desire in the fan base to take Bruno Fernandes out of the team, I feel it's somewhat unfair, because surely there is a price on being a captain that's won 4 games in a row in the Premier League. And surely there is a contribution there. And, the captaincy isn't always Roy Keane, lead the team and be man of the match. And surely there has to be a bit of leeway that Bruno Fernandes might be growing into this role. The responsibility of being the captain and also performing well. And yesterday he did that perfectly. He was brilliant yesterday, and he captained the team very, very well. And who is responsible for the morale of that team? Who is responsible for the unification of that team? I don't think it's just Bruno Fernandes. I think Varane, Martinez, Eriksen, you could even argue Rashford. De Gea, definitely. There are a few players in that team that have the experience and respect that other players are responding to. And I think Bruno Fernandes deserves some credit for that. And yesterday he was brilliant. So I have to answer the question, though. Do I think Bruno Fernandes can play in the way that Ten Hag wants to play, which is high line, high possession in the opposition's half, which means you've got to be patient? I think that's a good question. Do you think Maguire could fall to 4th choice by the end of the season, says Brandon? I think Lindelof positionally is superior, says Brandon. Mark, I disagree with you regarding the story of Glazers setting a price. It's a giant step towards the sale of the club. But Stefan, they haven't set a price. It's just a story in the Daily Mail. I find it, they might have set a price, but it's just a story in the Daily Mail. I find it a little harsh when Bruno gets criticised for moaning, especially now as captain. He's fighting for team decisions. He's not just having a moan, says Nick P. I think the moaning suits the captain. The moaning last year was just pure petulance and irritated a lot of people. But as the captain, that actually is your job. So, yeah, you're right. If this was the other way round, we would not hear the end of it from the press about how Maguire as captain turned it around. Silence so far, says Sean. Ten Hag must trust Bruno. He is a must in that team. He fights for the club, and that's what you want from a captain, says Sean Turner. 2 points there. I think there's a lot of things that people have gone quiet about, to be fair. I said this after the Southampton win. Somebody said to me that Man United's record without Harry Maguire is really bad. And I said, it's irrelevant because you're using his record from a previous manager. Harry Maguire's record under Erik Ten Hag is abysmal. It's captain 2, lost 2. Erik Ten Hag is the line in the sand. The only games that matter are the 6 games we've played competitively. Pre-season doesn't matter. Rangnick doesn't matter. Ollie doesn't matter. It's the 6 games. It's a very small pool of stats to look at, but they're the only games that matter. The 6 games that we've played are the only games that matter for Manchester United at the moment. And, they're distorted. They are distorted. Bruno Fernandes has a 100% win ratio as captain of Man United under Erik Ten Hag, and Harry Maguire has a 0% ratio, unless he tries and claims that he was captain at the end of the game yesterday in the last 10 minutes, which he actually technically was. Bruno, Varane and Martinez have played 4 games together and they've won 4 games together. So those stats are going to change. They're never going to stay that good. But that's the dot. That's year dot is Brighton. That's the first game that Ten Hag played competitively. And this is a real harsh... It's not a harsh reminder. It's a real stark reminder to our fan base that Drifting back to last summer when we played really well with the high press under Eric Ten Hag and high possession is irrelevant. Drifting back beyond that to Ollie times or Rangnick times is completely irrelevant. This is why patience and understanding is really key. We are so early into the Ten Hag journey and we're learning all the time. You know, the selection of McTominay and Rashford down the middle, many of us don't agree with it, but I certainly respect and go with it because we're learning about Ten Hag as much as he's learning about Manchester United. And, you know, there will be a lot of twists and turns, but I really, truly believe, as much as it's irritating to some people that the stats pool is quite small with only 6 games, you have to be patient and watch that grow. You cannot drift to, wow, when Maguire was captain last year, we won this many games. It doesn't matter. It's under Ten Hag that matters. And if Maguire, you know, if Varane gets injured and Maguire comes back for a month and we win every game, well, he's the captain and we're winning. And, you know, that's basically what Ten Hag is saying to these players. Cristiano Ronaldo is on the bench. Player of the year, 18 goals in the Premier League last year. Unbelievable season from one of the world's best ever players. Has that got him a starting place in this team? No. There's contrasts there. Ronaldo was player of the year and scored 18 Premier League goals in the worst ever United Premier League side. He's on the bench at the moment. He was player of the year and he's on the bench. Maguire and Shaw and a few others had a bad season last year and they're on the bench as well. It's irrelevant what happened last year. It's about now. And I look forward to seeing, hopefully, Maguire and Lindelof starting against Sociedad and being given a chance. Because maybe they improve like Delo has. Maybe they're better defenders with the coaching that they've had over the last few weeks. If they're not, then maybe they become surplus to the requirements. But we need players to be like Delo. Like McTominay has been, to be fair. Even Rashford. I think Delo's the most improved, but McTominay's improved. Rashford's improved. We said that was going to happen with some players. We just didn't know who was going to improve. And other players need to respond to that as well. Most fans had PTSD triggered when Maguire came on. Call me crazy, we will win the league, says Lack. Yes, there'll be turbulence, but we can win it with Ten Hag. I'm concerned for Rashford, great footballer, but I think his game is so one-dimensional. What happens to him once his pace starts to wane in a few years? We can worry about that in a few years, Stephen. We can worry about that in a few years. 2 things I want to answer. Can we win the league? Absolutely not, but we can all dream. I knew we weren't going to win the league when we were top of the league in that January with Ollie, but I still enjoyed it. And you know what? I really do hope that we can just hang around the top of the league for as long as possible, because I tell you what, it's true what they say. The closer you are to the top of the league, the better your mood is. And our mood tonight and yesterday has been so much better as a United fan base than it's been for a very long time. So my hope is that we're going to keep winning games and we're going to start playing better football, because we're not playing Ten Hag football. We're not playing Ten Hag football. We're playing a sort of fusion of Ten Hag football and counter-attacking football. And when we're playing Ten Hag football, you'll know it, because we'll dominate the ball like Man City do. But we're not quite doing that yet. And I look forward to that happening. And hopefully in the process of getting to that place, because I believe we will, we keep winning games like we have done. But I don't for 1 minute think we're going to win the league. And I think if we did win the league, and I say it in a very loose, if we would win the league, that would be pretty unprecedented. To take Man United's worst ever Premier League season then take us to a title would be unheard of. So I'm not expecting that. I want us to be in the race for the league. I want us to be in the race for top 4. But I think it's a process. I don't like that word, but I think it's a process. And I think that there will be dips in the road and there will be slips. And we could have drawn with Leicester, we could have drawn with Southampton, we could have lost to Arsenal, and we could have drawn with Liverpool. That it wasn't beyond the realms of possibility. We deserved to win all 4. But the margins weren't huge between winning and maybe drawing. So we need to, and that's what Ten Hag's on about. He wants to get us to a point where we're comfortably winning and deserving to win. Not that we haven't deserved to win, but you know what I mean? The style of play dominates. And that's the next step for United. So I look forward to that. But there's a very good question there about Bruno. Is Bruno better in a counter-attacking team? To which the honest answer is yes. But the full answer is we don't know. Because 99% of Bruno's career at Man United has been a counter-attacking team. We bought him in the January under Ollie, and we consistently were a counter-attacking team under Ollie. Rangnick had an idea of how he wanted to play, but ultimately we became a counter-attacking team as well. And Ten Hag has an idea of how he wants to play, but we've become a bit of a counter-attacking team under him. The interesting thing is, until we become a possession team, which I believe we will do, because that's basically what Ten Hag wants to be, we don't know whether Bruno can play well in a possession team because we haven't been a possession team in the time that he's been here. I certainly think he can. It's just a mindset. Bruno's style of play is to get the ball and look for a pass, and a killer pass a lot of the time, but look to move the ball quickly. He's not a player that gets the ball and goes, I'll play the simple pass. Let's keep the ball for the next 20 minutes. He definitely can do it. If you can play passes like you did yesterday to Rashford, you can definitely play a 5-yard pass to keep the possession for a couple of minutes. So he can do it. I just don't think we've done it yet at Manchester United consistently enough. So it's very easy to say that Bruno suits a counter-attacking team with his Hollywood passes and his quick movement of the ball. But I think he can adapt because I think he's a very good footballer. And I think he's very clearly a big part of Ten Hag's plans as well. So I think Bruno will probably naturally adapt and mature into a more Eriksen type player in possession who is focused on keeping the ball. Eriksen wants to keep the ball. That's why Erik Ten Hag likes Eriksen. He gets the ball and he plays it to a Man United player. That's his job. Bruno gets the ball and wants to get it to a Manchester United player, but will try and do it in a risky way sometimes because that's what he does. Whereas Eriksen will take risks occasionally, but more often than not will make sure the ball gets to a player. So it's just a mindset, but the team's not doing that at the moment. And you can guarantee that Erik Ten Hag is telling Bruno Fernandes to play those risky passes because that's what we're trying to do at the moment. In Novan Universe, is Ronaldo a bench player, says Tracy? Well, Ronaldo's a conversation maybe for another time. I do agree with you. In no way has Cristiano Ronaldo fell off from the player he was last year. You can visibly see that. In no way is Cristiano Ronaldo going to go onto a training pitch and not be the player that he's always been with the same attitude. So you can guarantee he's training well. You can guarantee he's going to be busting a gut to get into that team. And that can only benefit us and Erik Ten Hag and Manchester United. So for me, the Casemiro and Ronaldo situation is just a very, very interesting one because it's going to develop. They are world-class players and they're on our bench at the moment, and we're winning games without them. So it must be a brilliant position to manage if you're Erik Ten Hag, because if you think about last season with Rangnick, he's got Ronaldo up front and nothing else. And this season, Erik Ten Hag's got Ronaldo on the bench, and what an option it is. So he knows when he sets, whenever he decides to start Ronaldo or he starts Casemiro, he knows he's unleashing players that know that they could be back on the bench the next game. So, Ronaldo's going to be looking to score a hat-trick. Casemiro's going to be looking to be man of the match. And it's been a long time, a very long time. But when you've got a winning team and you've got quality on the bench, hungry to be part of that winning team, it's a hell of a mix. And we've just not had that for a very long time. So I'm not concerned about Ronaldo being on the bench, and I'm not concerned about Casemiro being on the bench. I think long term, they're going to end up in the first team. It's just going to be very interesting to see how it's going to happen. And remember, you've got Martial coming back as well, who I personally think Martial's a player that Erik Ten Hag really likes in that number 9 position as well. So lots of competition for places, lots of games as well. The World Cup factor is an interesting one. Rashford's probably got himself back in the England squad off the last few weeks. So, I didn't think there was a chance he was going to go to the World Cup, and it's turned around very, very quickly. I can say I'm more relaxed and I'm not in panic mode anymore because we have a better security in the defence. Can't wait to see them get in the next 2 or 3 months, as Virgil. Yes, and I think it is just a nice period of time to enjoy. If you'd have said to me that after 6 games we'd be 3 points off the top, I'd have bit your hand off. The way it's come about probably hasn't run the way I would have wanted it to. When we lost those first 2 games, I was like, if you're offering me 3 points off the top of the league in 4 games' time, I'll bite both your hands off. So, yeah, we are in a really good position. 3 points off the top of the league is a really good position to be in. And obviously that's because other people have dropped points as well. But we've given ourselves a bit of a allowance in a way, because if we did go to Palace at the weekend and drew, or God forbid loss, you'd lose a bit of ground, but you wouldn't lose the ground that we did at the start of the season. So, and the team knows that what it's capable of. I think the problem with Brentford and Brighton was like, shit, new manager, new signings, we've just been pummeled. What's going to happen? And the stability and growth over the last 4 games has really given us some leeway and confidence, is what I would say. So I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, look, if you've not watched the interview with Fabrizio Romano, very, very important as well, wasn't it? Talking about Ronaldo's professionalism, etc. So yeah, looking forward to it. Evening Mark, is there a fantasy league for the Champions League? I don't know, chance I don't do it. And Rogine says, Mark, question, you may not be concerned about Ronaldo being on the bench, but do you think Ronaldo is concerned about being on the bench? I can't imagine this is how he wanted to spend his last few seasons at the top. I don't think Ronaldo will be happy being on the bench, because I don't think any player will be happy to be on the bench. Marcus Rashford wouldn't be happy on the bench. Bruno wouldn't be happy on the bench. Luke Shaw won't be happy on the bench. If you're a proper footballer, you shouldn't be happy being on the bench. And Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the greatest players that's ever played the game. But it was a disruptive pre-season for him. And, he potentially did want to leave the club, where others were on pre-season working hard. You can understand why that instability has led to him being on the bench. I think if Ronaldo had been on the tour from day one and part of the team from day one, he probably would have been starting games from day one. But there's definitely been a bit of disruption there. And, I think there's no criticism attached to that for anybody. It is what it is. He's starting the season from the bench. And it's probably down to himself, really, because of the disruption and missing the tour. So he's not going to be happy. But if he backs himself, which I'm sure he does, he won't be on the bench, because you can't bench people who are better than the first team. And that's all he's got to do. It's the same for Casemiro. He's better than all the midfielders that we've got, but he's got to prove it. And so is Ronaldo. So also, it's a World Cup year. He's going to go to the World Cup, and he's going to be a very big player for Portugal. And that's something that I think Ronaldo will be really looking forward to. So there's a lot of games as well. He probably will start the Europa League games, and people will laugh about that. But if he's starting on Thursday and he scores 2 or 3 goals, there'll be a demand that he plays in the Premier League. And we're going to get a bad performance at some point. We're going to get a bad performance. It might not mean we lose the game, but what I'm saying is, at some point, an Eriksen or a McTominay or a Bruno will put in a bad performance, and it'll be like, well, because Casemiro gets his chance. At some point, one of the forwards will put in a bad performance, and Ronaldo or Martial will get a chance. And what you're basically trying to do is keep people on their toes. And if Casemiro comes in and plays well for 3 games, then has a bad game and then loses his spot, then so be it. That's what Ten Hag's trying to generate here. It's about keeping everyone on their toes. And the only way you can do that is with hungry players on your bench who are good. What would you rate Erik Ten Hag so far out of 10, says Rory? 8, I think, to come back. I think, of course, I would swap this start of the season for 6 wins in a row, but I actually think we've benefited from losing our first 2 games. And people will say you're an idiot, but I would have loved at the start of the season if somebody said after 6 games you're 3 points off the top of the league. So we are where I would love to be anyway. To be 3 points off the top and gone through what we've gone through. We had a real crisis right at the start of the season, and we've bounced back from it. And the manager has shown what he can do, and he's shown the players what they can do. So I actually think it's been an 8 out of 10 from Ten Hag, because I think the Brighton and Brentford debacles have actually given us a massive learning kick up the arse that we might not have got for 4 or 5 months. So I actually think we've benefited from that. And the 4 wins after it have put us in a position that we all would have been happy with anyway. We could have been 3 points off the top of the league by winning every game. No, we couldn't. We'd be top. We could have drawn a couple and won a couple and still be 3 points off the league. My point is, the start of the season was terrible, but it's been character building, and we're still in a good position. So I would give him 8 out of 10. Attackers win matches, defenders win trophies, says Carbon. And do you think he's not starting Casemiro because he wasn't Ten Hag's choice, making a point about not getting De Jong, says Andrew? No, I don't. We spoke about that with Fabrizio this afternoon. It's well worth listening to what Fabrizio had to say about that, because I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's actually to do with adjustment and getting used to it, but we will see. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. There's loads of good content on the channel today. We had Ben Foster on again. He's going to be on every Monday now. Really enjoyed it. Well worth a watch. Only 20 minutes talking about yesterday and a few other bits as well. He thinks Casemiro needs to be in the team and fast. Watch that. We've got the Fabrizio Romano chat about the transfer window and all the transfers that went right and wrong. Really good, interesting insight into that. So make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. And do not forget that we're sponsored by Shopify on the video today. United Stand Shopify is our website where you can get merchandise like this delivered to your door all around the world. But remember also, you can set up your own Shopify shop. Very easy to do. 14-day free trial. If I can do it, you can do it. And scan the QR code or go through the link in the description. So if you fancy yourself as a bit of an entrepreneur, if you've got a website or something like that, check it out, because it's really easy to set up, and it's a fantastic bit of kit from Shopify that takes all the hard work out of it, and you can just set up your own little Shopify shop online and be up and running in no time. So thanks to Shopify. We'll be back for you tomorrow. Got the preview in tomorrow as well. Got some bits for you coming in, and obviously building up towards the Europa League on Thursday. It's football at the moment, and I absolutely love it, because I think the transfer chat just gets draining, and I just want to focus on Manchester United, and it's a good time to focus on Man United. Take care, everyone.